anything in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things.
So in the debate for gay marriage, we've heard arguments from both sides on why people are for it or why people are against it. And what I'm finding is that a lot of the people who are supportive of gay marriage and who are trying to make a case for it are arguing for it on the grounds of equality. Basically the idea that we're all the same and therefore everybody should have the same rights. I don't think this is a very strong argument, and I think there's a better way that we can move the discussion forward. So for this video, I'm going to say that we shouldn't use equality as the basis for arguing for gay marriage. And you may ask why. Okay, so guys, I have some news for you. We're not equal. Me, you, everybody, people, everywhere, we're different. We're not the same. The thing is, I think we have these entrenched cultural axioms that say we are equal. By saying that we're all equal, what this does is it sort of reduces us all to homogeneity. And this is good for people who like to compartmentalize people by saying, oh, all black people are like this, or all gay people are like this, or I don't know, all women are like this, and then extending it to everybody. Oh, all humanity is like this. People are by nature equal. That is our state of being. We are born equal. We are naturally equal. And I don't think that's true. So the ancient Greeks had this idea of the Telos, which is the arc of your life. So basically it's saying that everybody has a starting point, which is your birth, and there's the arc of your life when you grow up and you do different things and your whole life story happens, and then right at the end is your death. So there's a starting point, the arc, or the telos, and then your death. But the thing is, everybody has a different starting point. You know, people are not born in equal contexts. People have different life histories, different life stories, different cultures, different ethnic backgrounds. So each person's starting point is slightly different. Also, the path of their life is, some people will go like this, some people like this, some people like this. Everybody's arc is different. And therefore, everybody's endpoint will be at a slightly different spot as well. What does this mean? This means that we're not the same, and we don't have the same starting point, middle, story, life story, and endpoint. True. For example, using myself, I am in a same-sex relationship. And I have to say, my relationship is not the same as a straight relationship is. It's not equal. Now, there might be some parallels. For example, I'm in a long-term committed relationship where we care for each other, we support each other, and we respect each other. But it doesn't mean that my relationship is the same as those other relationships. My experience in a same-sex relationship is that there's differences. There's some serious biological differences, which I don't think we should ignore. Sometimes there's a lot of testosterone. Also, I think for people who are in same-sex relationships, the experience of coming out of the closet impacts the relationship that you have later on in your life. So there's going to be different dynamics because you went through this different process, which a lot of straight people don't have to do, which is fine. It's just the different arc of your life. Having that dynamic in your relationship, whereas other people don't, we're not the same. Okay, so imagine that this fruit basket represents different kinds of people and different relationships. So we have our grapefruits, we have our apples, we have oranges, grapes, pretty much everything is there. So would it make sense for these grapes, for example, to demand the right to be made into really tasty banana bread? Or would it make sense for this grapefruit to be made into some awesome applesauce? No, it's just not possible. I mean, these are all different. Yes, they're all fruits, and yes, they all taste sweet, but there's some things that they can't do. In the same way, I can't demand the right to give birth, but some people can. Or I can't demand the right to fly to the moon, but some people have flown to the moon. Or I can't demand the right to be a mathematical genius, but some people are mathematical geniuses. So do you see where I'm going with this? There's a problem with using the equality argument to support something like gay marriage. Because basically what you're saying is that I believe people are equal, and this is like my moral belief, and I'm going to broadcast this belief to everybody. How is that going to work? If people don't share your same moral basis and you're coming at the argument from a moral perspective, you're not going to convince them. So have you ever had somebody try to force their moral opinions on you? Wah, 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 wah. How did that go? People don't generally respond well to exogenous forces telling them what to do. Rather, people like to feel like they have come up with the answer themselves and that it makes sense because they've thought it through. So endogenous forces don't work to convince people. There are two types of statements: descriptive statements and normative statements. A descriptive statement is something that is made based on empirical evidence or observable phenomena. Descriptive statement: this grapefruit falls when I drop it. Normative statements are built upon descriptive statements. This grapefruit falls when I drop it, therefore I shouldn't drop it because it'll get all gross. Normative statements usually include words like should, could, ought. So going back to the argument, you're saying that, oh, well, marriage equality is important because we're equal as human beings. We are equal as human beings, the descriptive part, therefore we should have gay marriage. My problem is, okay, wait. Before you go to the should part, though, so gay people should get married, you have to look at your descriptive part because you're saying, you're basing it off of that. Where is the empirical evidence that people are equal? We're assuming that people are equal. This is our cultural axiom. This is our little bias that we have, our big bias that we have, is that people are equal, but there's no like scientific proof that we're equal. Arguing for something like gay marriage on the basis of equality falls apart because... Now, Mary Wollstonecraft, an 18th century writer for women's rights, would totally back me up in this. Back in the day when women's rights were an issue, Wollstonecraft had a very interesting argument. She did not say that women were equal to men and that's why they should have more rights. This actually angered a lot of feminists who, at that time and afterwards, were saying, no, women are the same as men and that's why we should have rights. Mary Wollstonecraft was like, equality? No. So Wollstonecraft had two arguments, and they were both related to education of women. Mary Wollstonecraft was taking a very practical approach because she wasn't addressing the issue from some sort of like intangible, like moral position to say that women were intrinsically equal to men and that's why we should do it and it's just not fair. No. So Wollstonecraft was like, by allowing women to be educated, this has some positive benefits for society as a whole. So she asked the question, okay, at home, who raises the kids mostly? Women. Who influences kids mostly? Women. If you have a bunch of uneducated women who are raising kids, what does that lead to? Like, bad kids. Her other argument was in terms of relationships with men. And she asked, okay, what are some of the reasons that people have a relationship? Sex? Let's face it. Yes. Sense of connection? Sure. Chemistry? Yep. Companionship? Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why people get into relationships. But she was saying the relationships that last the longest, that are the most stable over time, are the ones where the man and wife are sort of at the same level and they can communicate. That creates better relationships between men and women, and better relationships by extension. If more people have that in society, you have a stronger society. That was her argument. She's coming at it from a practical perspective. She wasn't putting morals or ethics into it at all. She's just like, okay, cause and effect. Cause and effect. Not like good or bad. Cause and effect. Okay. So, like Mary Wollstonecraft, I'm saying that we shouldn't advocate for gay marriage, gay rights, based on morals, because the people that don't share your morals, it's just going to go in one ear and out the other. Practicality. Let's bring it down to reality. So I would say there's two main ways that we should address the issue of gay marriage. First, the economic argument. Now, if you guys aren't aware, roughly 8 to 15% of the population is considered LGBT. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, questioning, whatever that means. What this means is like, okay, out of every 9 or 10 people you meet, one of them is probably LGBT. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of people who work. And that's a lot of people who contribute to taxes. And do people spend a lot on marriages? Mostly? Celebration? Yes. Oh, and did we happen to be in a recession? oh, maybe this is not going to solve the recession problem, but by allowing gay marriage, I mean, at least you're going to have an influx of money and funds and celebrations, and it's going to help. It's better than nothing. So I think there's the economic argument to it. It pays. So there's the economic argument, and there's also the social argument. Letting gay people married is good for society. Well, it means that more people are in relationships that they choose, meaning that they're more or less happy. By legalizing gay marriage, this lowers the social stigma associated with it. When there is a social stigma surrounding being gay, this leads to high-risk behaviors from gay people who can't change the fact of who they are. So drug abuse, alcohol abuse, even contemplating suicide. Therefore, allowing gay marriage can help reduce social problems such as drug and alcohol abuse and suicides. Also part of the social argument is kids. Allowing gay marriage opens the door for gay adoptions, which means that there's going to be less children in unwanted environments where they would be more likely to grow up to commit crimes out of desperation, but due to the fact that they were unloved or unwanted or whatever else. If you allow gay marriage to happen, you can reduce crime as an effect of that. So to summarize, the way to argue effectively for gay marriage is to make it practical. Now most likely, the people who are opposed to gay marriage really don't care about your moral position on equality. They don't. And I think it's important to accept that, because you can't talk past each other. We can only talk where we meet. So if you're trying to make a moral argument for gay marriage based on equality, and there's somebody else that just doesn't share that moral belief, you have to adjust the way that you address the issue. It doesn't mean that you stop advocating for gay marriage and gay rights, but you have to adjust the way that you talk about it. But what you can do is say, hey, listen, gay marriage will stimulate the economy by this much. Oh, are we in a recession? Oh, I wasn't aware. It will reduce crime, it will reduce substance abuse, and it will reduce suicides. Some pretty serious social issues. And then if you really want to be mean, you can say to the person, so, do you support suicide? Do you support increasing crime? And do you support the recession? Or is there something else that maybe you care about as well? This is using the argument in your favor. Don't forget to include hard facts. Don't forget to include some reliable statistics to back up what you're saying that can be cross-checked. Because if you just start spouting things off, you'll just be ignored. You have to back up your argument with facts. That's how it works. So in the end, even though we're all different and diverse and not exactly equal, we can all come together to make a beautiful fruit salad. Moral of the story? Fruit salad is delicious.
You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think, and they'll grow.